Welcome everyone to part 2 of the August meeting of the Mountain View Computer Users Group. Make sure you check out part 1. This is the main presentation. Okay, the break is over and now it's time for Tip Fest, the sequel. Woo! Okay, what we're going to cover today and try and get through this: web browsing, applications, productivity and automation, accessibility, photography, file management, and customization. Now, we will not be going into as much detail as we did last month on each one of these topics. At least I don't think so. And everybody is going to be participating. We do have an open Zoom session. Well, let's get started. And our first one is me. Okay. For those of you that have an Apple ID, which is probably most of you, if you forget your password, which happens all too frequently, you can go to apple.com/recover to generate a new password. It is actually incredibly simple as long as you have 2 Apple devices. Because what it does is it uses your phone to authenticate who you are. So you can't go in and it's like a 2-factor authentication, which by the way, more and more sites are going to, which I think is a good thing. Yes, it is inconvenient, but I get about 10 Facebook requests to reset my password, and I have to authenticate that. And I'm not doing it. Somebody's trying to hack into my account. I have 2-factor authentication set up on Facebook, and guess what? They are stopped cold. It's also called multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor means it can be more than just one way of doing it. You can do it by mail, you can do it by telephone number, you can do it by biometrics. My favorite is a biometrics where I have my phone, it scans my face and says, "Oh, that's you. We'll let you in." It makes life so much easier. For those of you who don't know about it, it's up there and can be done very easily. Yes, sir.
The one caveat to that is if you've turned on advanced data protection with Apple on your iCloud account, Apple can't recover it for you. They can't recover your password.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you turn that on, you're taking responsibility for your own recovery. You should be setting a recovery contact in your settings so that somebody else can recover for you, because Apple, when you turn on advanced data protection, everything is encrypted end to end no matter what you send to Apple, and they can't read it. So they can't give you your password back.
I did not know that. I just learned something. Advanced data protection is a feature of the Mac OS and iOS that encrypts your data completely so that no one can hack into you.
There are certain things that are encrypted end to end with just a regular account, like your health data, messages, things like that. But I mean, there are still ways that you can change your password.
Yes.
But you have to know the old password to be able to do that.
Not if you use Recover.
Right. Unless you have advanced data protection turned on.
Because see, Recover allowed me to change my password, not get the old password, but to change my new password by going to my phone and saying, are you you? The next thing we're going to do is a slick little trick, how to share text, any text anywhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to Safari and I'm going to open a new window and go to MVCUG. And let's say that I wanted to select this paragraph and I want to do something with it, like send it to somebody. I can control click, and that selected text, I can send it to somebody. I could add to a reading list, a bookmark, a new quick note, and it'll automatically go out and do whatever I have set up here. I can message it to somebody. Now, the one thing you cannot do on the iOS or Mac OS that Windows can do, and I do not know why Apple doesn't do this, is I can't print selected text. But I can do all the rest of this stuff. And like if I wanted to print it, I would generally go and
have to send it to some other document.
Send it to a different topic, text edit. But also something down here is that most people have never noticed. Edit extensions. If you click on that, I can go up and show what I want in that menu. These are all the things that are available.
It's a different kind of extension. In this case, it means that it's extending the capability of the software.
Yeah. I can go in and customize my share menu to do the things I want it to do, as opposed to things that somebody else thinks I should do. That's 2 tips in one. I just noticed that a couple of weeks ago. I'd never noticed it before. And so I went in and said, all right, These are the things that I want to see in that menu. And at the same time, I also, right over here, you see this list that comes up when you hit the calendar? See these widgets right down here? Way down at the bottom of the screen, there's a little button that says Edit Widgets, which if you click on that, I can go up and put into that menu any of the widgets that I want, which means I don't have to have them as I have here. I don't have to have them on the desktop anymore. I can have the ones over here that I want to have. So that's 3 tips in one.
Android has had widgets on their home screen of the phone
Yeah.
for a longer than Apple.
Yeah, but not over in the menu as far as I know. Does Windows have anything like that?
Windows widgets are in the start menu.
Going back to the presentation, next we're going to have Windows from Mike.
The Edge browser.
Okay. Actually, to go on what we were just talking about there, actually, I just realized that Windows 11 does not have the widgets in the start menu. That's what the start menu looks like. In this Windows 11, it's under this little thing here in the taskbar. And yeah, you can change these around so you can put in whatever you like. This is pretty much the default. I don't use this very much. All I care about is the weather. Like rain around 3 p.m. But Edge, the browser. Actually, Edge has turned into a pretty good browser from the old Internet Explorer days.
Really?
Yeah, pretty good. It's available down on the taskbar right here by default. Click on that.
Oh, that's
Really? Oh,
that's good.
yay.
Yay.
A smarter way to access the web. Here's what new. Yeah, Copilot integration is huge. The way that Microsoft is doing Copilot is there's 3 different basic integrations. One in Edge, one in the operating system itself, and one in Microsoft 365 in Office. So there's 3 different integrations there.
Is it the same features or is it different for each?
What I could tell, it's pretty much the same features, a little bit customized for each one. It gives you free access to Microsoft 365 apps. Yes, as it turns out, you do have access to like basic versions of Word and Excel without having to buy the Microsoft 365 upgrade. But again, pretty much like what Apple does with their iCloud, it's fairly basic abilities. Internet Explorer coexist with it for a while before they finally pull the plug and just deleted out Internet Explorer. Yeah, there's several different kinds of browsers. I use Chrome myself. A couple of the biggest things that they've done with Edge is, as I said, Copilot integration. This is new. I hadn't seen here where you could get to the Copilot right on this, the search bar. Whereas normally this comes up on an MSN page. So this is new. Up here in the upper right corner, this is where you can open Copilot in Edge. As it says, what should we dive into today? And you can go ahead and message Copilot or some good barbecue joins. Okay, let's see what we come up with. Local favorites, Bam Bam, Gunnies, Dickies, really. And that's what you can do with Copilot. It's like any other AI. You could just join it, pull it directly from Edge at this point. You could use it for enhanced search, just like you can with Chrome, and their Gemini product works the same way. I did mention that, and I'll bring it up now, is that Copilot is actually also available right down here in the taskbar straight from Windows 11. So if I click on that, it brings up Copilot, just like the other ones, ChatGPT, and this is connected into ChatGPT 5. Interesting, I did not know that.
Well, Barry made a comment this morning. GPT-5 is available to anyone with a 365 account.
Yes, I saw that because I have a 365 account.
Yeah, so do I, but I never knew I could get in the chat with it.
So you have to sign into the Chat GPT account using your Microsoft 365 credentials.
Yeah.
That's how you, yeah.
Like I mentioned, the Copilot is also integrated into the Microsoft 365 stuff. If I bring up Word and Excel, I've got the icon everywhere that I'm trying to do anything. I kind of get a little sensitive about that because with my years of dealing with technology, I have ways if I want to do things. Stop trying to help. It's got Copilot here. The other thing about Edge I wanted to point out, something that people were going on with browsers for a long time. I generally don't open that many new tabs myself or leave them open. But if you do, you've got this stuff over here, up in the upper left corner. Turn on vertical tabs. You can have them all over here.
Yeah, they have tab group.
Turn off vertical tabs.
I love tab groups.
Yes.
Oh, same here.
Oh, tab groups. Yeah. Tabs from other devices. If you're logging into your Microsoft account on other devices, it'll replicate all the tabs all over the place. I do the same thing with Chrome and Google. They'll do the same thing with Google stuff. They search, organize. So yeah, they've got tab management built into it now, which is really nice.
I got dozens of tabs open all the time.
Yes. Oh, one thing that they have that is really rather cool, marks. I'm going to bring up some of my bookmarks here. Tech news. Ars Technica, one of my favorite places. All right. Something that's rather cool here is I'm going to highlight this paragraph and right click on it and read aloud selection.
2 years ago, researchers in the Netherlands discovered an intentional backdoor in an encryption algorithm baked into radios used by critical infrastructure, as well as police, intelligence.
Pause read aloud or close read aloud.
This is just Edge.
Yeah, this is something that's built into Edge. You can bring up any text selection and then select it and right click on it, and it'll bring up the read aloud selection.
That same feature is available in Mac OS also.
One other thing they have is collections. If you want to collect articles along a certain theme or something, again, I right clicked anywhere in this article and it brings up an add page to collections. And I happen to create a collection here for this called Geek Stuff. I'll put it in there. And I go up to the upper right to the 3 dots and I click on collections. And here's the things that I put in there. Oh, and this is when I was first playing with this. And that is basically what I had about Edge. Those are some of the new things. Yes, ma'am.
Next, we'll have a video presentation from Barry on how to change your search engine within your web browser.
Hi, this is Barry from Mac Geek. Let me show you how to change the default search engine in Mac OS. First off, let's clarify some terminology. Search engine versus a web browser. We're going to be looking at Safari on Mac OS. This is Mac OS 15 Sequoia. Safari is the default web browser for Mac OS, and it's also available on iOS and iPad OS. There are other web browsers, which is just pieces of software, an app that you install, an application you install, either from the Mac App Store or the iPhone App Store, iPad App Store, or downloaded from the internet from the developer's website. Safari is from Apple, we just mentioned. Microsoft has a web browser called Edge, and you can download that from Microsoft's website. I think it's available also in the Mac App Store. Microsoft Edge is available on Windows as well as, of course, Mac OS, iPad, iPhone, and on Android devices. Google, the company, has a web browser called Google Chrome, or most people just refer to it as Chrome. It's also available on multiple platforms, Windows, Mac, iPhone, iPad, and of course Android and Pixel phones, which are from Google. Firefox is another web browser. It's distributed by Mozilla. They don't have a platform. They don't have a hardware that they make like other companies. They're strictly a software developer. They have an email client as well called Thunderbird. So Mozilla Firefox, a web browser, also available on multiple devices and platforms, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, iPad, iPhone, Android phones, I believe. And then there are other specialized or more niche web browsers that may provide specific features that aren't available on most other, consumer broad audience web browsers. They may have their own search engines, like DuckDuckGo. There's a web browser called DuckDuckGo, and DuckDuckGo is also a search engine. Search engines are the online service that you use to do web searches, and they operate, basically independently of the web browser you choose to run in most cases. The DuckDuckGo web browser will use DuckDuckGo search engine. Google Chrome, it uses the Google search engine, also from Google the company. Too many Googles. Google the search engine can also be used in other web browsers. So let's take a look first at Safari on Mac OS. and see what we mean by the default search engine and how to change it. So here we are looking at the Mountain View Computer Users Group website. And of course, if you want to change something about the settings in any piece of software on Mac OS, the easiest way to do that is to go to the application menu. That would be the name of the application right next to the Apple menu in the top left corner in the menu bar, and choose Settings. And in Safari, it brings up this window with a whole bunch of tabs at the top, different things that you can change the settings for. But in the Search tab, fifth one over here from the left, is where you change your default search engine. Google pays Apple a lot of money to be the default in Safari on all Apple's devices. But it doesn't mean you have to use it. If you're concerned about privacy, you don't want Google tracking you everywhere you go on the web, you can change your search engine to something different. You can have somebody else track you, for instance. Anyway, the search engine choices that Apple gives you are Google, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Bing, which is Microsoft's search engine. It's not to be confused with Microsoft's web browser, which is called Edge. Two different names. And Ecosia, which I'm not familiar with. But those are your choices with Safari. DuckDuckGo, their shtick or their main feature is that they don't track you. While there is some advertising results in their searches, and they do have some built-in AI now, they're not going to track where you go and what you search. And they're not going to sell that information because they can't, because they don't track you. But Google, tracks what you search for, and then they sell that data to bring in more ad revenue. So this is where you would change that in Safari. I do like to use DuckDuckGo. I find their results just fine. And I usually turn on this also use in private browsing, and it just keeps everything in DuckDuckGo when I do Safari searches. So that's how you change it in Safari. And then when I click in the search field up here and I want to search for pasta recipes, I don't know. It's using the DuckDuckGo search engine. So how do you change the search engine in other web browsers that are not from Apple if you're using them? Google Chrome is a very popular one. As you might imagine, the default search engine in Google Chrome is the Google search engine. And maybe that's okay. And if you want to use Google Chrome and you're okay with that, and you're okay with Google and what they do, then Google Chrome is considered probably the best engine. But if you want to change it, you can do the same thing. You can go to Chrome in the menu bar and choose Settings. You can also go to the far right end of the Chrome window and choose the More button, which is the three dots. Sometimes the More button dots are horizontal. This time they're vertical. And then go down to the bottom of the menu and choose Settings. Unlike Safari, it just opens the settings inside the main browser window. You'll notice that the tab that I was on, which was the just general Google intro search tab page, has gone away, and now I'm looking at internal settings. So you got default browser, but it doesn't say anything here about default search, but it does say search engine in the sidebar. So I'll click on search engine. It's using Google. You want to change it, then click on change, and you have 5 choices as well from Google. Some are the same. Microsoft Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, they were all there with Safari. And then this has Yandex instead of Ecosia, which again, I'm not familiar with what Yandex is, but you can look it up on your own and try it. If you want to use a different search engine, you choose it from the list here, and then click on Set as Default. And here we are in Firefox. Again, Firefox. It doesn't say Settings. It says Preferences, which is a throwback to about, I think, 2 versions of Mac OS where we used to have preferences instead of settings, and they changed the terminology. Apple changed the terminology to settings, although Firefox has not updated their menu system to be in line with the Apple interface guidelines for settings. But it's okay. So there's settings there, preferences. If you don't see settings, look for preferences. It's also got a menu on the far right here. It's a hamburger menu instead of a more menu with 3 dots. And then you go down to settings here. It does say settings in this menu instead of preferences. So either one will get you to the same place. And then on the sidebar, you've got search. And here's the default search engine. You can change it to anything you want. In this case, if you shop at Amazon and you just use Firefox just for shopping at Amazon, you could just say search Amazon.com for everything I search for. That's fine. You could dedicate a browser just for your Amazon shopping. That's certainly a viable alternative. Bing from Microsoft again. DuckDuckGo, another general search engine. Doesn't track you, as we talked about before. You can also use eBay or Wikipedia, the English version, for your default search engine. And what about Microsoft Edge? Microsoft Edge, it does have settings in the menu bar. It also has a More button in the toolbar of the browser window, and settings also in that menu. So again, either way, this settings in this menu or the application menu and settings, either way will take you to the settings. And like Chrome and Firefox, Microsoft Edge brings you to a settings environment within the browser window instead of an extra window pop-up or overlay. So here we go. Look on the sidebar here. We got default browser, which is different than your default search engine, but we're looking for search, and I don't see search in their menu. So let's just use the search field for search. We're going to search for search. And it comes up with all the places in the settings environment where the word search comes up. So we're going to scroll down here a little bit and look for, I saw it earlier when I checked this out. Here we go. Address bar and search. Because you search in the address bar. And here it says search engine used in the address bar, which is the default search engine. Again, 5 choices. The same ones as Google Chrome gives you, in fact. Bing, which is the default for Microsoft Edge. You'd think they want to use their own search engine. You'd be right. Yahoo, Google, DuckDuckGo, and Yandex. So Bing, you can try out their search results in the Microsoft Edge web browser. So those are the main 4 web browsers, I suppose, on most platforms that you might be using, and how you change the default search engine in each one. There's one more that I have installed. That's the DuckDuckGo browser. So here's the DuckDuckGo browser and its main search page. And as I mentioned, it's going to use its own search engine, the DuckDuckGo search engine. I searched through the settings earlier, and it doesn't have a way of changing the default search engine. So it assumes, I think rightly so, that if you're going to use the DuckDuckGo browser, that you want the safe search, non-tracking DuckDuckGo search engine along with it. If you would could change it to Google, then what's the point of using the DuckDuckGo browser in the first place? So those are 5 browsers I have installed. As I mentioned, there are other browsers. You can explore and experiment with those as you see fit. Hope this helps. See you next time.
Now, before we continue on, I want to show you all something that I think will help expand upon what Barry was saying. Now, all I'm going to do is go into Safari. We're on our user group page. Now, what people don't realize is that this is what your web browser is doing, interpreting this code to display that image on the screen. That's what a web browser does. The images and things are just sent down the pipeline. They're encoded, and this is called HTML and CSS. And I won't go into the differences between the two, but understand it is this information, and there's a lot more in here. You can expand all these to see it. That's what your web browser does. It takes this information that it's given and displays it on your screen. So this is what is coming down the pipeline to you. The web browser only cares that it gets HTML. Okay. He doesn't care where it comes from. And so that's what it does is it interprets this information to display it. It's called a page markup language. And it's what allowed the web to exist today. Because this is mainly text. So I wanted to show you this to make sure everyone understands what your browser is doing. Now, the search engine, like Barry said, searches. And how it does that is not something we're going to go into right now, but it is fascinating to figure out what it does. Because what search engines do is they go out and send out what's called spiders. The little programs will go to a web page. And from that web page, they'll say, oh, this is going someplace else. So it'll follow that URL out. Or it'll go and find a bunch of URLs, go and visit them and search out. They search and maintain the information. In the past, there would be a block of text that the web page developer would put in describing what his page is. And people still have that out there today. And the problem is they don't update it. So you ever seen a search result come back with the site says one thing and you go to the site it's completely different? That's why. Now we're going to go into applications. Mike is going to talk about Microsoft Store Trusted Sites and the Task Manager. And then I'm going to go into a very short presentation on pages. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike in just a second.
So if you're looking for applications to load onto Windows 11, best place to go is the Microsoft Store, which is by default accessed by this little shopping bag down here at the taskbar. If I go into that, it brings me up to the store, much like the Apple Store. Has what trending games, trending things that are there. I don't think that they're vetted quite as stringently as Apple does their stuff, so I don't quite feel that same level of comfort, but at least you know that somebody's looked at it at some point. A couple of different ways you could do this. One is by just what's trending, or you can look at just gaming stuff. I do a lot of gaming. This is not where I get my games from. I have a couple other websites I prefer. Or I love this. They now have the AI Hub, where you can get all of your AI apps, chatbots, whatnots. Yeah, I'm a little bit leery. So I'm skeptical of AI if you haven't figured that out yet. So, but this looks like an interesting, oh yeah.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings too.
Yeah. But interesting. This is a good place to find all of them. I've heard things about Perplexity,
Yeah.
which is an AI chatbot. I've heard a few things about. So, some place to explore. So this is a good place to download some Microsoft apps. I put down or trusted sources. Basically, that's where if there's a software developer that you know is trustworthy, I'd use them. For example, a couple of those game stores that I use, I know that they're good. We have a what's new section, history of downloads, which I think I've had like 2 maybe. Actually, and here is where Microsoft actually downloads a lot of their own components. I have not done any of this myself. Windows did it for me. So that's the Microsoft Store. Once you, yeah,
Mike,
go
can I
ahead.
interject
Yeah,
something
yeah.
real quick? I want to emphasize something Mike said. When you go to download an application, know exactly where that application is coming from. If it is the Microsoft Store or the Apple Store, you can be about 98% confident it's going to be okay. If you go to a site that you know about, such as the developer's own website, 95% sure. If you go to one of these repositories of applications, which are all over the place, you have about a 10% chance of being okay. If you do that, please turn on an antiviral program because I can almost guarantee you're going to get a virus. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to download a program that I was looking for, and then all of a sudden my malware software comes up and says, you're in trouble. Do not proceed. So be careful of where you download it from. If you're not sure, put a message, I'm getting ready to download this application from this site, opinions, and we'll get back to you and let you know.
Actually, that does bring up a good point, though. If you need an application and you search for it, uh, be leery of the first ones that come up because often scammers will pay to have their malicious websites put at the top of the search. So, for example, if you search for Microsoft Help Desk, be very leery of anything that pops up at the top because it'll probably take you to a bad place. But that's not how Microsoft or Apple does their stuff.
Yeah, go to the Microsoft.com or Apple.com.
Here's also where you can have default apps. This is what we were talking about earlier. I can actually set up apps for default here. So, for example, Google Chrome. From here, I could set this as the default on the default browser, which it actually is already for you. Or I could go back and do Microsoft Edge if I wanted to and set it back as the default browser here. So here's where you set your defaults for a thing. You can also, someone was mentioning file extensions earlier. Here's where we also associate the extensions with the particular application. A little more in detail than we needed to be. So there's some good stuff in here. The only other thing I wanted to mention about the apps on Windows is if you right-click on the taskbar, bring up the Task Manager, which is a very handy little window. This shows you all the processes that are running on your system right now. If I needed to end a task, if my computer's hanging up, I know what program is hanging it up. I can go here and say end task, and that will stop it nicely and easily. I can also go to a performance meter, so it lets me know what's been going on here. Startup apps. This is the stuff that starts when I turn my computer on. So I may want to go through here and disable a few things if I don't really need them running when the computer first starts up. Users, which if I was to look at this and find somebody else here besides me, I'd be very concerned about that. Details.
Don't laugh. I've actually seen that happen. I was out at a person's house. He was complaining about the fact that his computer was so slow, and somebody hacked it, dialed in to his computer and was on as guest. So I went in and disabled that. How they did it, I do not know. That was a slick. The only way they could do it is guessing the IP address.
That's one way to do it. With Windows 11 now, you can do a right click on the taskbar down at the bottom and then Task Manager. Yeah, Control-Alt-Delete will do it, but this is a little bit faster. The details is pretty cool. The actual name of the program, not the user-friendly name, but the actual file name of the program. The PID, which sometimes is handy. The status, who owns it, how much CPU it's taking up, how much memory it's using, and a little description so you actually know in English what this is. Process ID. Process identification. Thank you. Yeah, that is the number that the computer actually uses to keep track of what's running. And sometimes I haven't needed to use it in years since I stopped working in the field, but it comes in handy. And then here's all the services that are running. Again, services and processes are slightly different. Again, if there's a service that's running and it's messing things up, I can actually stop it from here. Or if there's one that shouldn't have stopped, I can restart it. It's a very handy little menu. And I can actually even get to these settings from here for app theme, default start page, the Windows management. A little surprised that you can actually get to these from here.
Yeah, that's
Live kernel memory dump. Whoa, that's something I don't need. Oh, and send feedback. Yeah, that's something I can use. Yep, all I have to do is do end task, which I won't do that since I'm doing a presentation. I don't need to introduce strange variables. But yeah, I can do end task here, and that should take care of it. For this session, it'll reboot back up again once you start up. All right, that's all I got. Any other questions on any of that? John, take it
Okay,
away.
folks.
DuckDuckGo will use several different search engines all at the same time and aggregate the results for you. Well, the DuckDuckGo browser is the one that's doing the search on your behalf. So the actual search engines that it's accessing don't know that you're doing it because this DuckDuckGo is the man in the middle.
Okay, we're going to take a break. Okay.
So, John, tell me if you've encountered any slow computers lately.
Okay, Mike, that's a really good question. Okay, when Mike was talking about, killing a task, that's force an application which you think is not running to stop. Well, this past week I've been working on a puzzle box for my new son-in-law. He loves puzzle boxes. And I designed a maze to create the puzzle box and was getting ready to 3D print it. And this one, he is able to do these puzzles very quickly. So I went and designed one that he couldn't. Even with the solution, I'm not too sure he could do it. I'm sitting there and I go to render this and computer's not responding to anything. Keystrokes, and I finally get it so I can go back to the Finder and I bring down force quit application and it says that the application is not responding. Okay, that normally means it's crashed. So I killed it. Went and tried it again. Same thing happened. So I went a third time and it was lunchtime. Get my lunch, watch a little television with my wife, and come back and see that it's finished. I said, is it really taking that long? So I did another keystroke. The same thing happened. So I waited and waited. And I said, I wonder how long this is going to take. And it was 30 minutes between keystrokes. That's how long this stupid thing was taking. With the amount of work I had left to do, it was going to be on his 90th birthday before I'd be able to finish it. So I said, I'm going to go and change how I'm doing this. So I created a slightly simpler maze. So I went and changed it. It's still complicated, okay? But I changed the way it was designed. And now what was taking me 30 minutes between keystrokes was taking me less than a second between keystrokes. That's how complicated this stupid thing was. So just because an application freezes does not necessarily mean it's not doing something. Take a look at what you're doing. If you're in a word processor program and it stops responding, yeah, it's probably crashed. If you're in a spreadsheet and you've got a complicated spreadsheet, I've seen that take up to 5 minutes to complete. If you're in a database app, if you're on the web, especially, I've seen some sites take 10, 15 minutes to respond. So just stop and think about what you're doing before you kill it up. Okay, now I'm going to go over to Pages, and this trick I'm going to show you is available in Word as well as Pages. It's done slightly differently. Now, I created this document, and what I want to do is I want to add a table of contents to it. This is the title of it. What you do to create a table of contents is you come down, you highlight the chapter headings or the headings that you want to show up in your table of contents. You come up here to Format and you style it in one of these three things. Each of these have been designated to be a table of contents. So I'm going to call this one heading. And then I'm going to come down here to thought 2, come over here and change this to heading. Then I have subthought 1, and I'm going to make that heading 2, heading 2. And then go through this. I'm going to come up here and it creates, you come up here to insert table of contents. And you can do one for a document, a section to next occurrence. Now, that's kind of cool. But what most people don't realize is that I can put my table of contents in the sidebar. And by clicking this, I can jump straight to that section. Word, I don't know, can do that or not. I've never seen that in Word, but then again, I wasn't looking for it. Where does this come in handy? If you have a very long document, such as a document I received from my ex-employer that I had to go and, as part of my job, is access different sections on telling me how to do things. I went in and did this, created a table of contents, and I could jump to each of those sections easily. Now I am going to try something. It doesn't put the entire paragraph. It puts it in enough so you can come and read it. You can add the edit button up here, and I can designate what sections I want to have fall into the table of contents. So if I need more, right now I have it set up for 3. If I want more than 3, I can set up the indents so it'll indent it automatically. So I can go in and customize it. I can have as many sections as I want. I can go in and designate a title to show up. You can see it over here. There is a heading for title right there. It comes standard. So that is a way of setting a document up to be more user-friendly. It has its own links built into it. Yeah, Barry?
I think, because I haven't actually done it, but if you like then export this to PDF, that same hierarchy is maintained in the PDF, and so you have a table of contents,
Yeah.
in the PDF that you can use as well. So you can
Well,
share it with somebody that doesn't have Pages, for instance, and still have the same uh, shortcuts.
okay, I'm going to export this to PDF. Good point, Barry.
Yeah, I knew there wasn't a checkbox, but I think it's just it embeds that same linking in the PDF document. Pretty sure.
Well, we're going to find out real fast.
If it doesn't, then you can fire me.
Yep, most certainly does. Table of contents works here. So that way you can send out a PDF file with a table of contents in it, and you can jump to it automatically. I get snippets of information and put them together. That way I don't have to hyperlink it. I don't have to develop HTML to do it. So let's get back. Okay, and we have coming up. Oh, messages. It's more of me. In messages, what I'm going to do is come over here to messages. Let's say that I want to forward a message to somebody. I can click down here and say forward. I'm in my iPhone right now. Here's a conversation. And let's say I want to forward parts of this. I click and hold. It brings up this button, and there's a more button down here. That more button allows me to go through and select specific aspects of that conversation that I can send to. And you see the little arrow key down here. You click on that, and then you can address it to the person you want it to go to. So that's just one feature that many of you may not know about, is the ability to bring up that menu. The more, and there's things you can do here. Attach a sticker, copy, translate. I use a translation a lot because I have some friends in Italy who don't speak English, and my Italian is so bad it's laughable. But we converse back and forth. And the more button down here. Oh, also speak.
Security protocols for the downtown campus stipulate that no entrances can be left unlocked on the weekends except the main entrance. Text me when you arrive and I'll come open the door.
It's built in. It's there. Okay. Any other questions before we proceed on? This is one I just found out about. Is that this is what the default is on messages, having the sidebar open. And then this way you can go through and have your messages larger, because this honestly takes up a lot of real estate. So that's just something most people don't know about.
Well, I have a big screen, so I keep it open.
Oh, so do I. By the way, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, is that I'm using my iPad as a secondary screen for Keynote so I can see the next slide coming up, because I can't always remember that. Now we're going to move along. We have Barry's presentation on driving focus settings, how to set it up, intelligent breakthrough and silencing, allow notifications, customize screens, and turn on automatically. And since Barry can't be here with us today, we have a video.
Hi, this is Barry with Baz Mac Geek, and this is how you can set up a driving focus on your iPhone. The driving focus is one of several default focus modes provided for you in iOS under the umbrella notification settings of do not disturb. A focus mode can be customized. And the driving focus is specifically there to quell or turn off all notifications on your phone while you are driving. And that's for safety's sake. And in many states, there are hands-free laws in place. So you don't want to be picking up your phone and using it while you're driving. And if you're not receiving any phone calls or notifications of any messages or anything like that, you're less likely to be picking it up and using it while you're driving. So the focus mode is accessed, or setting them up is accessed through the Settings app. So I'll tap on the Settings app on my home screen here, and you'll have to scroll the display a bit down until you see the notifications setting or section. And the third item there is focus. Tap on focus, and you'll see the default, or some of the defaults there. I have some that where I had set up and I've added to the default section, but you'll see driving is up there near the top. And if you want to set up the driving focus for you when you're driving, if you haven't already, you can tap on it, and it gives you some options. There are ways of letting some people's notifications through, and I have mine set up so that if my wife is calling me or texting me, I will get those notifications, but everybody else is silenced. And my auto reply is to my favorites in my contacts. You can set up an auto reply in this screen if you tap on auto reply, and who you want to send it to, either all contacts or recents or no one, or your favorites. And you have to apply favorites in the phone app for contacts in your contacts list. You can type in the auto reply message what you will be sending automatically to anybody that tries to contact you while driving. You can also choose to customize the home screen of your device if you want to. I have not done that. But then at the bottom, you have where it will turn on automatically. So if you want it to turn on automatically, you go into this section here, tapping on that item at the bottom, and you have three choices. You can have it activate automatically, which means it's going to use the GPS and the accelerometer in the iPhone to determine that you're moving, and you're moving faster than a person can walk. And so it assumes then that you're in a vehicle and you're moving because you're driving. Now, that means if you're a passenger in a car, it will also automatically come on because it doesn't know if you're actually driving the car or not. So automatically would work if you know that you're driving all the time. But if you happen to be a passenger in somebody else's vehicle, or your spouse or some other person in your household is driving, then you may not want to have it automatically, because then you'd have to turn it off in order to use the device in the car as a passenger. So the next item, when connected to car Bluetooth. If you have a vehicle that has Bluetooth and you can connect your device directly to your car's infotainment center for playing music or whatever, access the phone through the car's Bluetooth connection, you can have driving focus turn on when your phone connects to the car Bluetooth, whether it does it automatically or you actually connect it manually to the Bluetooth. And then, of course, you can turn on the driving focus manually if you want to. And any focus mode you can turn on manually at any time. So the easiest way to do that is just to pull down from the upper right corner, go to the control center. Oops, I scrolled too far. And you have a focus mode item there, and it gives you all the options, and you can choose one by tapping on it. Now, if you have a car with CarPlay, you have another option that you can turn on. You can activate driving mode automatically when your device connects to CarPlay. And that could be wireless or wired connection, depending on the car model and make that you have. And that means that you wouldn't have to turn on automatically in the above section. It'll do it automatically with CarPlay, whether you're moving or not. And you could leave it on manual, I suppose, at the top section if you're using CarPlay. I have my iPhone set up like this because I do use CarPlay for playing music, for the maps and navigation, as well as other apps that are available on the phone via the CarPlay connection. And so I know that when I get it in the car, my phone automatically connects to CarPlay and my driving focus is on, and I'm the one usually driving. So that's what works for me. So when it's on, that's all you have to do. You're all set up, and the next time you hop in the car, your driving focus will come on. Hi, this is Barry with Back MVCUG. Back MVCUG? That's for the blooper reel.
We have 5 minutes, 7 minutes left, and this slide alone will take probably half an hour. So we're going to save this for the next meeting. Like I said, that when we're done with the topics, we'll go directly into this and see how far we can get. So please bring your topics next week. I know you've got a list of 4 pages, which is fantastic. I think that's great. So I want to thank you all very much. Have a great next month. Have a great August. And we'll see you in September on the 12th, something like that. Yeah. So take care all, and we'll see you next month.